Welcome on Texas Football. I'm Bobby Burton, your host. I've got a special guest with me today. It's Coach Bryan Erwin. Usually in our Lunch with the Coach segment, we have him in every so often. But I wanted to bring Bryan in today because we were talking a little bit off camera earlier this week about what the Longhorns were up to and everything that's going on. And I figured I'd bring Bryan in and kind of give a lay of the land, so to speak, of what all is going on from a coaching perspective right now behind the scenes. From a timeliness, the kind of timelines they're working within, and then the progression throughout the rest of the year. Bryan, thanks for joining us and welcome back. It's been about a month since we spoke, buddy. How you doing?
Oh, doing great. Is it football season yet?
Almost. We're about 31 days away from spring ball starting back up. To be honest with you, but we cannot wait. We cannot wait right now. All right, hey. Preseason camp and all this other stuff going on. You're the head football coach of the University of Texas, like Steve Sarkisian is right now. And what's he going through first and foremost right now? We know they're in winter conditioning. We know they're doing some other stuff. Give people a sense of, okay, they're focused on this right now, then it'll be the next thing, and we're going to step through it. So what are they at? What are they doing right now?
Yeah, Bobby, I think he's already started that team building assimilation. You know, he's assimilating that team. He's putting his mark on this team, evaluating maybe some of the weaknesses from last year, trying to replace some of the key leaders we had last year, which is going to be a big challenge, losing certain leaders that we had on that football team. But just the team building aspect and trying to just brand this team with, hey, this is who we are. This is what we're going to be. This is where we need to be a little bit different from last year. This is where we need to grow from last year. Whatever mantra he's got, it's going in now. Whatever that is. Back, our big year we had when we won it all, when you and I were together, it was whatever it takes, WIT. I remember Coach McWilliams came to me with that, and what do you think about this? And he's going to all the coaches. What do you think about this? And hey, whatever it takes. That was our mantra. That's what went on the ring, on the side of the ring. So he's establishing that right now. It's early in the process, but it's you got to get it ingrained. You got to get it going now so that it carries itself through the spring, through the summer, into the fall. When the times get tough and get going in the fall, you can go back on that mantra, that belief system, that team building that you've been building all this time. It just takes so long to embed that in and brand that in the guys and get them to totally believe in it. But he's laying the groundwork now for the adversity in the fall. Because when the adversity hits in the fall, you can't try to decide who you are at that point in time. You have to already have decided who you are, and that's being done right now.
It looks like one of the slogans, maybe not the one for the whole year, at least at this point, is obsessed. That's what the guys have on the front of their shirts right now.
I saw that on social media on a couple of the guys too. Yeah.
What do you think that means in the way that Sark would? He's tried to explain it, but obviously it hasn't been open season on asking him questions in the off season. What was your take on that?
My take is, all right, we've got to go we got to take this up one more notch to be a champion. We know what it tastes like. We know what it smells like. We know the kind of commitment, dedication it takes. Well, now you want to take commitment and dedication up a notch, call it obsession. And maybe that's what he's doing. It's an obsession with doing things right, being a champion, being obsessed with each aspect and each process. And probably not all football. It's obsession with the classroom. It's obsession with your diet. It's obsession with the training room, with the weight room. We talked earlier about, it's winter conditioning. You've got to be obsessed in the weight room right now because this is one of your few opportunities as a college athlete to really pack it on. I saw something the other day where Simmons has put on like 20 pounds. And, for a true freshman, that's unbelievable in 6 weeks, 8 weeks or something like that. So you've got to be obsessed with the weight room. You've got to be obsessed with your conditioning, with your diet, with your study of the game. And then at the end of the day, you got to be obsessed with winning a championship in the SEC and winning a national championship.
Got it. All right. Thanks for joining us, Bryan. I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsor as well. Then we got I want to finish out what they're going to be working on the rest of the spring. Thank you to our sponsor, Laura Baker of Keller Williams Realty. She's with the Andy Allen team there in the Austin area. If you're moving to, from, or within the Austin area and want a first-class realtor, visit with Laura Baker, 512-784-0505, or email her at laura@andyallenteam.com. Laura has always sponsored Lunch with the Coach, and so I figured it would only be right if she was back with us again today on Texas football. All right, hey, question for you, Bryan, as it relates to this. So team building, you said, culture, that sort of stuff, winter conditioning, and then what else is going on behind the scenes? What else do you want to share with us next that you know that the coaches are working on?
I know one of the favorite times of my year, and there's no doubt Sark's a junkie when it comes to schemes and football, and he's gone on record saying, "Hey, I came here to win a championship, and when I win one, I want to win two." You just keep the chains and the links just keep piling on you. Some of that's good, some of that's bad. It's tough, the stress and the burden, but knowing who he is and how schematically driven he is, and kind of a genius he is with the offensive side of the ball, and it's both offense, defense, and kicking game, all three phases. But these guys are looking for the next best scheme or concept or idea to improve all three phases of the game. And they look at it situationally, like Sark may be looking at some red zone things. We know we got to improve there in the red zone and on the goal line. Maybe it's a personnel package, maybe it's a formation, it's some motions, maybe it's a play or a combination of all three. You take the Kansas City Chief play, the cornbread play. They've run twice. They won 2 Super Bowls with the same play, right? And that quick motion and then sending him back out in the flat. You're looking for ideas like that to steal and to bring into your scheme to help you situationally and to make you better. And that was always the most fun time of the year for me was just getting new schemes and stacking another scheme on it without going too far and getting too much in there, but just really improving what you're doing schematically and with your ideas and with your concepts, and then taking that and getting that installed and getting that implemented into your system before spring ball starts. And just they're going to visit with pro staffs, they're going to visit with college staffs. I know Sark and Shanahan are great friends, and I'm sure he's got other friends in the pro game. So he's stealing from pro coaches, defensively also, kicking game also. And then also, he's probably got friends at the lower levels in college that they can share ideas with. It's not necessarily our competition, our opponents. We're not going to be sharing things with folks in the SEC, but we could take a mid-major, whether it's, Colorado State or, Air Force or somebody like that, and they can share ideas and they're not afraid to do it and really improve the scheme.
Colorado State's on the schedule, so they won't be doing that.
Yeah, that's true.
but to your point,
yeah.
Look, maybe Oregon State's going to do something that's really interesting, right?
Right.
Or Montana, or Jeff Choate came from Montana. All of those guys can do something different, and it's not just It's not just Pete. It's not just Steve Sarkisian. That'll be out and about. It's also Pete Kwiatkowski. To your point. He may be visiting with who knows.
That's right.
In the Pacific Northwest, et cetera.
Jeff Banks as well. I'll tell you the best college visit I ever took by far. I mentioned Colorado State because I went there and I got snowed in for 2 days. Went to Air Force, went to Utah State, just went to North Carolina State, went to West Virginia, and put in a scheme which the next year we go to state championship. I met with Bill Yeoman one time when I was at Lamarck. I called Bill Yeoman, and he was right up the road, and U of H, and that was when Art Browse at U of H. I met Coach Yeoman in a restaurant. We're sitting there drawing on napkins. He's sharing with me these beer schemes, and I ended up putting a few of those beer schemes in when I was at Lamarck. But the best trip I ever took was Grand Valley State on the west side of Michigan, a little bitty school. And those guys were some ball coaches. They were winning big time back then. And, you go to the smaller places, the less trafficked areas where you can get a whole lot of info. And so you'll go wherever you got to go to get a great scheme.
Interesting. And so you think Sark will do that? Then it comes to what is after that really? Like Is it actually the implementation of those ideas to where they get a kind of a feeling and thought about what they're going to do and then take it to the field? Or how does that all culminate into what comes out in the pudding, so to speak?
You got to kind of figure out what you can digest and what you can't. Are you gonna get rid of a scheme or two, take on this new scheme a little bit? And I'm not talking about a revamp. I'm talking about 3 plays. I'm talking about one formation or one personnel package, and you got to figure out what you can digest and get implemented and worked with your original scheme. And then most of all, you're looking forward to just installing the spring and taking a look at it full speed. Get it installed in the classroom, get it installed on the field before spring ball starts. All their installs are pretty much going in before spring ball starts. And then day one of spring ball, you start all back over with your installs that you had kind of put in classroom and informally on the grass with the players before spring ball started. But so then day one, you start your install again and you get it all put in. And the new stuff, you want to take a look at it full speed on the grass. You'll take a look at it full speed in the film room and see where you're getting it right or where you may not be getting it right. Compare it with the people you stole it from, because you've also got video of it from them, and just really critique it and get it fine-tuned.
Interesting. I feel like if this is the case, Bryan, and this is kind of where I'm going with it, and I'd like your feelings on it. It's almost like you're looking to steal a first down here or there. You're looking to steal an extra touchdown in the red zone. You're looking to add, an extra stop on defense, et cetera. Yeah. You mentioned they're not revamping. It's more refinement, right?
So,
yeah.
It's definitely a refinement. You're looking for another first down. You're looking for a red zone touchdown instead of a field goal. That's 4 points. That's the difference between winning and losing in the SEC. Like you mentioned a while ago with Kwiatkowski, we know we need to take the defense up to another level. We know what championship football looks like. You just don't have to look back very far in the past to see what championship football looks like. Michigan's defense is what championship football looks like. Kansas City Chiefs defense and the 49ers defense is what championship football looks like. We've got to be that type of defense to be a champion. It's defense travels. Defense gets it done in October, November. By the time you get to October, November, offenses may be lighting it up, but the defense has tons of data. They have tons of film. They know every route concept you're going to run, and offensive football just gets harder in October and November and December because the data that's there. Defense, when you're stone cold on defense and you can do what a Michigan did this year, that's the kind of defense we need.
Got it. You mentioned this, and I want to ask you, are there anything that you're most looking forward to this spring? Jerry Hamilton, our friend, he's really into this idea that this is one of the most important springs Texas has had in a long, long time, because it's not like, oh, well, they're just trying to get back up on the horse again. Because frankly, that's how it's felt for a long time. Texas just trying to get back up on the horse and run again. Yeah. Now there's a little bit more expectations now in Austin, right? Is there anything you're most looking forward to out of spring ball this year?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the safeties develop, inside linebackers and edge guys. Those 3 position groups are going to, I think, determine how dominant we can become on defense. I'm not too concerned about us offensively. I'm just not. I mean, we're old on the offensive line finally. We're big. We got large humans, and we're old now instead of being young guys. The receiving core's loaded, running back room's loaded, quarterback room's loaded, tight end's going to be solid and great hands. Defense is what I'm most looking forward to watching and how they developed and seeing what kind of edge guys we've got. And I think our DTs will be fine. But inside backers, DTs, and safeties, we've got to become a championship quality team.
Got it. I want to have one more question for you, but before I do, I want to say thank you once again to Laura Baker and Keller Williams Realty. She's with the Andy Allen team there. Send her an email, laura@andyallenteam.com, or call her 512-784-0505. You won't find a better realtor in the Austin area. One in a million is Laura Baker. 512-784-0505. Thanks, Laura, for your continued sponsorship of On Texas Football. My last question relates to this. How much more work is Arch Manning going to get now that he's going to be second string as opposed to third string? I mean, I know they split time last year. He and Malik did at second string.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to be second string.
Yeah.
Barring an injury that he goes all the way to, So how much more should you see from him this spring? Are you going to see the full Arch Manning, basically, you think?
Yeah, I think rep wise, he'll probably get the same amount as Quinn in the spring, because in the spring you're not preparing for a game. So there's no reason why, as a number 2 quarterback with the number 2 offense, he's getting the same amount of reps that Quinn's going to get. Maybe a notch below, but if Quinn gets 8 reps, Arch is getting 6 or 7. So it's almost going to be 50-50 with the amount of reps that they get in the springtime, because you're just not prepared for an opponent, and it's about developing guys. And we're not just trying to develop Arch; we're trying to develop the backup left tackle and the backup right guard. Those guys need reps too, and so he's going to get a ton of reps. And there is a difference between being the number 2 guy and the number 3 guy, because that number 3 guy is not going to get the same amount of reps. And if the number 2 is splitting reps, between 2 guys, and he's only getting half of that. So, last spring he might have gotten 50% of what Arch got. This year, I think he'll get 100%. What Quinn got. I think he'll get 100% of what Quinn gets this spring.
I always ping you and ask you questions on the quarterbacks, because that was kind of your thing. You're a high school quarterback, I believe, and always had good quarterbacks and very prolific offenses in the high school game. 2-time state championship high school winning coach, by the way. Bryan Erwin is. Quinn Ewers, what are a couple of things, just knowing how quarterback progression goes, like natural progression? What are the things that you think we'll see him do better next year than this past year?
Pocket presence, gap escapes, and really being he's not going to be 100%. Nobody's 100%, but 95% efficient in the pocket, maneuvering in the pocket, stepping up when he needs to step up, escaping to the right when he needs to escape to the right, escape to the left when you need to escape to the left, not turning a bad situation into a terrible situation. And that's with his pocket presence. And that's, to me, the biggest issue he's got. Sometimes he doesn't maneuver in the pocket. He doesn't gap escape correctly. And when you don't gap escape correctly, you can turn a bad play into a really bad play in a hurry. So, and he did. He got much better as the season went on. It was a factor early in the season, but he really improved on that. I mean, his arm strength, I think, is there. I just think that's just who he is as a quarterback. He's not that Michael Penix rifleman guy. That's just not who he is. And I think his ball appears to be a little bit more finesse. It's just who he is. And he can lead us to a championship, and he can play for a long time throwing it the way he is. So I've got no qualms with his ball, his mechanics per se. I have told you this, over and over. I would like to see him carry the ball a little higher. I think that affects his mechanics. I don't think that'll change at this point. He's got a great release. He's got a great extension with the tricep before he throws the ball. But just pocket presence and gap escape stuff is probably where they're going to spend a ton of time with him on.
And you think that? Do you think that is a natural progression for him to improve on that? Like,
yes.
That's my question. Like, is that natural for to see a quarterback improve in those types of things? Like, what should we reasonably see from him in that regard?
Yeah, because I think the game slows down as you get older and more experienced. Your schemes, you're better at recognizing defenses. He's going to be a professor at recognizing defense. He's going to know what covers they're in pre-snap. He's going to know what covers they're in post-snap. He's going to know when they're blitzing, when they're not blitzing, when they're zone dropping. He's going to be hard to trick. And so when you know those things, when the game slows down and you have a pretty good idea what the defense is doing, then you're able to fine tune what you need to be doing when you see those things happen. When the game is fast to you and everything's fast forward, it's hard to be correct with your pocket presence and your gap escapes and all that stuff. So I just think the game's slowed down for him. We saw that midseason. We saw the game really slow down for him, I think, towards the end of the season. And now he's a year older. He's been in the system. He knows the system inside out. Those coaches prepare him to know what the defense is doing pre-snap, post-snap, and I think that is the natural progression.
Interesting. All right, good stuff there. Bryan, Erwin, thank you so much for joining us. Talk a little spring football, what the coaches are up to, give a little talk about what we think we'll see in the spring practice as well. For Bryan, I'm Bobby Burton. That's been today's Saturday conversation. Bryan, I'll see you again soon, buddy. Hook 'em.
Good deal. Hook 'em.